Hare Krishna. Om Jnana Jnananjana Chakshurmilitam Tasmai Shri Gurave Hare Krishna. So, we will continue our discussion. I will try to use so much homework for you. Maybe this will be the class for us. I will take a little break for a few days. I am going to North India and Mayapur. So I will see. So we are discussing on the subject of addiction and how our dopamine mind works. So I will see if we have time. I will try to cover some points. It is actually very helpful for personal understanding and preaching also. Some of the points really help me, and when we are doing some activity and get engrossed so much, engrossments, we are trying to get addicted. Immediately we can understand it's actually not giving me any pleasure. It's just a agitation of dopamine and other things. So I will take, and maybe every chapter I will take one such topics. I have one topic of anartha nivritti, and then there is communication and all. We'll see for each chapter we are willing to do homeworks. Then we'll try to cover as much as possible. So we will just read few purports. Today I will try to see to cover few purports because this chapter has I have to complete today at any cost. So that's why I'm not taking any other. We have 39. So we have 8 shlokas to cover. So hopefully we'll be able to cover. Then if I have time, then I will cover that topic also. That is also so much is remaining actually. But this is also, this is a very nice conversation. This chapter also very sweet. And there are very important shlokas also. And we have seen yesterday some very important shlokas. So yeah, this is a shloka. Nityam nirikshamananam yadapi dvarakaupasham na tripyanti drishaha striyo damanga machya. So na tripyanti. So this is not because of dopamine that we discussed. So we'll continue the discussion on the purports today a little bit, and then we will go ahead. So here from 31st will I'll just read the translation so that some revision happens. The mothers, after embracing the son, sat him on their laps due to pure affection. Milk sprung from their breasts. They were overwhelmed with delight, and tears from their eyes wetted the Lord. And then we saw thereafter the Lord entered. So first he met elderly people who were outside. Then he went and met the mothers, and then now he is meeting. Of course, the fathers they all came outside, so he has to go inside to meet the mothers, and then he is going to meet his 16,000 wives. So he expands himself to meet all of them here. The queens of Lord Krishna rejoice within their minds to see their husband home after a long period abroad. The queens got up at once from their seats and meditation. As was socially customary, they covered their faces shyly and looked about call. So, as mentioned above, the Lord entered his home palaces occupied by 16,108. That means the Lord at once expanded himself in as many plenary expansions as there are queens and palaces, and entered in each and every one of them simultaneously and separately. Here is another manifestation of the feature of his internal potency. He can expand himself in as many forms of spiritual identity as he desires. Even though he is in one without a second, it is confirmed by the Shruti mantras that the Absolute is one alone, and that he becomes many as soon as he so desires. These manifold expansions of Supreme Lord are manifested as plenary and separated portions. The separated portions are representations of his energy, and the plenary portions are manifestation of his personality. Thus, the personality of God manifests himself in 16,108 plenary expansions and simultaneously entered into each and every one of the palaces of. This is called Vaibhava, or the transcendental potency of the Lord, and because he can do so, he is also known as Yogeshwara. So now there is a difference that Prabhupada is going to explain here. Ordinarily, a yogi or a mystic living being is able to expand himself at most to tenfold expansions of his body, but the Lord can do so to the extent of as many thousands or infinity as he likes. And unbelievers become astonished to learn that Lord Krishna married more than 16,000 queens because they think of Lord Krishna as one of them and measure the potency of Lord by their own limited potency. One should know, therefore, that the Lord is never on the level of the why Lord is performing this Leela is also very important. He could have married, like Lord Ram came. In Ayodhya, in the spiritual world, he may have so many wives. But here he is marrying only one Sita Devi. And like that, there can be so many consorts of Lord in spiritual world. Why you should bring everybody here? You could have brought one, two, and necessarily it is confusing. Now, people say, Bhagwan, why he's marrying so many? He's so lusty or what? He could be satisfied with one, two people. He is not satisfied. No, actually, this is another reason why Lord is manifesting like that. Is Lord wanted to show that. So, what Lord is teaching is, if you become my devotee, then the people may have this doubt. If I go to spiritual world, will I get time from Lord or not? Because if one prime minister is there and 140 billion people are there in the country, how much a prime minister can expand and give time to everyone? They say, better to go some smaller country where population is 1 million. At least we can meet our prime minister once in a day, once in a year like that. No, it is not like that. That's what Krishna wanted to tell. Even if there is 1 billion of you, I can expand and fully reciprocate with you. That is what Krishna is trying to teach. So, no matter how many gopis are there, I expanded, I was dancing with them. No matter how many queens are there, I expanded and danced. Similarly, Lord is telling that no problem, you come to spiritual world, I'll be always with you if you want. If you want, always be with me and personally there for everything, and you want to personally serve me, no problem, I can expand and help you do all the things you want. That is actually what Lord wanted and make us understand by this pastime of expansions and doing 16,000. He could have done normally also, but he's showing this way like that. One should know, therefore, that the Lord is never on the level of the living beings who are but expansions of his marginal potency, and one should never equalize the potency and the potent and the potency. Although there is very little difference of quality between the potent and potency, the queens were also expansions of his internal potency, and that the potent and potencies are perpetually exchanging transcendental pleasure known as the pastimes of the Lord. So for us, we discussed previously also, Leela means it's a play. Who plays? Children play. Why they play? They don't have anything to do. That's why they play. Similarly, Lord and Natasya Karyam Karanancha Vidyate. Lord also does not have anything to do. That's why he's always playing. That's why everything is Leela only for him. There's nothing to do. Then what you do? You play. Leela means to play. So here one should not therefore become astonished to learn that the Lord married so many wives. On the contrary, one should affirm that even if the Lord marries 16,000 million wives, he is not completely manifesting his unlimited and inexhaustible potency. He married only 16,000 wives and entered in each and every one of the different palaces just to impress in the history of human being on the surface of it that Lord is never equal to or less than any human being, however powerful he may be. No one therefore is equal or greater than the Lord is always great in all respects. God is great, is eternal truth. Here, another point Prabhupada is telling is, Lord also want to show that I am Lord. That's why he has to do something extraordinary. Otherwise, he just comes and he is living like anybody, and then he says, "I am God." Then people say, "Ah, what is this? I can also say I am God." Everybody, when Krishna was there, that time also Pandarak was there. He kept artificial two hands and said, "I am also Vasudeva only." So the tendency to imitate Krishna is always there. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Channavatar, because it is more, easiest to imitate of all the incarnations is Lord Chaitanya only. You just have to cry and dance and you say, "I am God." Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is God like that only. According, he did not do any, he did not kill any big demons, or he did not do any extraordinary. Of course, he did, but that people can fabricate many things like that. So it's very Krishna lifted Govardhan hill, Ram built a bridge across the ocean. That type of things Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not do anything. And even some so-called Babas, yogis now who appear, they also do curing of diseases and bringing dead to life, and all these things are done by even the mystics. And the people say, "Oh, so what is so great? This is also same." So people have this type of mentality. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a Channavatara. He cannot be understood. So he is not exposed as Supreme Lord, because imitation is easy. And Krishna performed some extraordinary activities like lifting Govardhan, dancing with Gopis, dancing on Kalia, and so many other things to prove that I am God. Otherwise, people will not accept. They'll say, "Ah, Bhagavad Gita, I can also speak some philosophical talk and I will become God." Not like. Therefore, as soon as the queen saw from a distance their husband, who was away from home for long periods due to the battle of Kurukshetra, they all arose from the slumber of meditation and prepared to receive their most beloved. According to Ignivalka's religious injunction, women whose husband is away from home should not take part in any social function, should not decorate her body, should not laugh, and should not go to any relative's house in any circumstances. This is the woe of ladies whose husbands are away from. At the same time, it is also enjoined that the wife should never present herself before the husband in an unclean state. She must decorate herself with ornaments and good dress, and should always be present before the husband in a happy and joyous mood. The queens of Lord Krishna were all in meditation, thinking of Lord's absence, and were always meditating upon the Lord's devotee cannot live for a moment without meditating on the Lord. And what to speak of the queens, who are all goddesses of fortune, incarnated as queens in the pastimes of the Lord at Dwaraka. And they are they're completely absorbed in Krishna. For them, they don't have anything to do also. So it is easy for them. And why this Leelas? To help us also. See how much they are in meditating, how much they are happy. All these things are taught us. They can never be separated from Lord either by presence or by trance. If Lord is not there, they are in trance with the Lord. Like that. And Prabhupada immediately gives the example of Gopis. The Gopis of Vrindavan could not forget the Lord when the Lord was away in the forest cow herding. When the Lord boy Krishna was absent from the village, the Gopis at home used to worry about him, traversing the thought, traversing the rough ground with his soft lotus feet. By thinking, they were sometimes overwhelmed in trance and mortified in the heart. Such is the condition of the pure associates of the Lord. They are always in trance, and so the queens were in the trance during the absence of the Lord. This is what the Gopis will. Presently, having seen Lord from a distance, they at once gave up all their engagements, including the woe of women, as described. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakra Thakur, there was a regular psychological reactions on the occasion. First of all, rising from the seat. Although they wanted to see their husband, they were deterred because of feminine shyness. But due to strong ecstasy, they overcame that stage of weakness and became caught up with the idea of embracing the Lord. And this thought factually made them unconscious of their surrounding environment. This prime state of ecstasy annihilated all other formalities and social conventions, and thus they escaped all stumbling blocks on the path of meeting the Lord, and that is the perfect stage of meeting the Lord of the soul, Sri Krishna. And Krishna Jagataka's purports are sons. The inseparable ecstasy was so strong that the queens who were shy first embraced the Lord in the innermost recesses of their heart. Then they embraced him visually, and then they sent their sons to embrace him, which is equal to personal embrace. But, O chief among Bhartas, though they try to restrain their feelings, they inadvertently shed tears. Although due to feminine shyness, there was many hindrance. Nowadays, this is all lost only. Previously, we were discussing previously also, the people who lived are of different quality only. That's why some of the things we cannot relate. How could they do sati? I know, I think, "Arey, you put my hand in the fire, it is so burning. How can we have sati?" Because the quality of people was different. Now it is not possible only. We cannot understand many of the things which they did previously. And the people who followed this Varnashrama and lived these standards, they're really of very high quality. The Dwapar Yuga people, Kali Yuga people, we cannot expect anything much. And now they have equality. Women and men are equal. Of course, there are no man, there is no woman in terms of everybody is equal only because Kalo Shudra Sambhava. Everybody has same type of enjoying propensities and all. Who needs husband who is having feminine qualities? And who needs wife, he is able to give shelter and he is having it. Now because it's all getting mixed, that's why people are not happy in any activity they are doing. Anyway, although due to feminine shyness, there were many hindrances to embrace the dear husband, Lord Sri Krishna. Now it's all public only. No need, even railway station, airports, everywhere we can see this display of affection. Even the palaces also there. The queens performed the act by seeing him, by putting him in the core of their heart, and by sending their sons to embrace him. Still, the act remained unfinished, and the tears rolled down their cheeks despite all endeavor to check them. One indirectly embraced the husband by sending the son to embrace him, because the son is developed as part of mother's body. To embrace the son is not exactly the embrace of husband and wife from the sexual point of view, but the embrace is satisfaction from the affectionate point of view. The embrace of eyes is more effective in the conjugal relation, and thus, according to Srila Jiva Goswami, there is nothing wrong in such an exchange of feeling between husband and wife. Our acharyas also know so much, even though they are completely renounced. But psychology and everything, they are so expert. Although Lord Sri Krishna was constantly by their sides as well as exclusively alone, sweet appeared to them to be newer and newer. This is uh, another aspect of Lord. Every time you see the Lord, you always feel is new, new, new. This is the speciality of the Lord. And devotees are also like that only. When Lord sees Radharani, Radharani looks more beautiful and Krishna becomes happy. When Krishna becomes happy, Radharani becomes more beautiful. And Krishna again sees, he becomes more happy. So the competition always goes. The goddess of fortune, although by nature always restless and moving, could not quit the Lord's feet. So what woman can be detached from those feet, having once taken shelter of them? It's a nice shloka. So you can by heart this. We had to do shloka memorization, but somehow time does not permit. So many things are there, and I had to. We have to some we will see how we can cover. Once every chapter I'll take one topic like that. That way we'll also get something extra to do, which are very helpful. I have some nice things from Bhagavad Gita also, and about other topics we can discuss, which will be very helpful for our person. Now, Prabhupada writes, conditioned living beings are always after the favor of goddess of fortune. This is a very important understanding. We cannot handle goddess of fortune. Only Krishna can handle, because she is always restless, and that is why people become so much frustrated, because they want to hold it. Like say somebody become big billionaire. Now to keep himself as a billionaire, he has to really work hard. Otherwise, he cannot maintain that position. If you little bit here and there, and suddenly is from the top 20 list, he'll be somewhere 100 and then 1000. Like that, the list goes down. This is actually what happens. Although by nature she is moving from one place to another, in material world, no one is permanently fortunate. See, this is a problem. However clean one may be, there have been so many big empires in different parts of the world, and there have been so many powerful kings all over the world, and there have been so many fortunate men, but all of them have been liquidated gradually. And this is the law of material nature. We have seen also, now there was British Empire, now no more British Empire. There was Roman Empire, no more Roman Empire. There was very powerful country. Britain was very powerful. Now nobody cares about it. Like that, now America is powerful. Now slowly it will replaced by some other country, and nobody can continue like that. That is the point. That is the law of nature. In the first, second, third century AD, even actually, if you take for 14th century till 14th century, India is most richest in the world. But after Mughal and Britishers conquering, it is no more. Also, it is not very rich country. And why it happens is, this is how the laws of nature. But spirituality is different. According to Brahma Samhita, the Lord is served very respectfully by hundreds and thousands of goddess of fortune. They are always in a lonely place also with the Lord. But still the association of Lord is so inspiringly newer and newer that they cannot quit the Lord for a moment, even though they were by nature very restless and are moving about. This is another thing. Like if people stay with somebody for a long time, they get bored. Chalo. they oh, wife they want to go for kitty parties, and men go for their own parties in the night. They say, though we are bored. They have their own parties. After staying for few years, they get bored. They say, but with Krishna, it is not like that. That is speciality, because it is spiritual. We are material. We cannot impress other person for a long time with our material qualities. No matter whatever famous film actor or who he may be. Not that he go home and his wife is washing his feet and taking the water on her head. Such a nice person. No, she will not be impressed with him after some time. Initially, there will be there, but it is not possible after few 3 months maximum time. After that, people are bored, and then what happens, because the social custom and pressure is there, they continue living, tolerating each other, and maybe after some time, what happens is they get attached. That's how they able to continue. The system is made that they get attached, and it is safe also to get attached. Otherwise, nobody will be able to survive in this world like that. And that attachment will help to some extent, and eventually it is actually the false ego that they need to give it up. Maybe some other time we discuss how that is also very important, what Krishna is telling in Bhagavad Gita. Anyway, now the point what I am trying to make is that nobody can impress other person in this world for a long time. Only person who can impress is Krishna. That's why not the pair. It is never saturated with Krishna. Here also same. They were feeling, wow, he's such a smart boy. I'm so fortunate to have a husband like this. Every moment they feel like that. Every moment they can feel like that. And they're if a woman feels like that, that how fortunate I am to get this husband every moment. Can you imagine anytime she'll be unhappy? There's no possibility. She's always happy. And that is the that is only possible with Krishna. That's what when Lakshmi Devi appears from Samudra Manthan Leela, she looks at everyone. She says, "Oh, this person is very strong, but he is not very intelligent. This person is intelligent, but he does not look good. This person looks good, but he does not have good quality. This person is very austere, but he is having anger." Like that, she sees everyone, but only person she feels everything perfect is Krishna. And what happens is when a boy first meets the girl in the college or whatever, then the girl thinks, wow, this is Krishna. I am searching for so many lifetimes. And she gets attracted. And the boy sees girl, she thinks, oh, Shrimati Radharani. and and this is what I want. Exactly this thing. That Kamadev makes that illusion between them till they get attached. And after that, the illusion is evaporated. But with Krishna, it is not like that. When boy and girl meet, we say, and for outside people now, they look little stupid. This fellow don't look good, and she does not look good. How they fell in love with each other or something. For outside people, they cannot comprehend it. But for that boy and girl, that illusion is nicely kept to protect that relation for some time until they get a bond with marriage, and then they get attached. Then the illusion. So that is the system that is created. But in Krishna's case, it is not like that. The spiritual relation with Lord is so enlivening and resourceful that no one can leave the company of Lord having once taken shelter of it. That is the power of Lord. This is not any Mahamaya illusion. The living being are by constitutional feminine by nature. The male or enjoyer is the Lord. All manifestation of different potencies are feminine by nature. The Bhagavad Gita, the living being is designated as Paraprakriti or the superior potency. Yeah, in the material world, enjoyment diminishes. Law of diminution. Spiritual world is going increasing. The material elements are paraprakriti or inferior potencies. Such potencies are always employed for the satisfaction of the employer or the enjoyer. Supreme enjoyer is the Lord. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, the potencies, therefore, when engaged directly in the service of the Lord, revive the natural color, and there is no disparity in the relation of the potent and the potency. General people engaged in service are always seeking some post under the government or the supreme enjoyer of the state. Since the Lord is the supreme enjoyer of everything in or outside the universe, it is happiness. It is happiness to be employed by Him. Once engaged in the supreme governmental service of the Lord, no living being wishes to be relieved from the engagement. The highest perfection of human life is to seek some employment under the Lord supreme service. That will make one extremely happy. One need not seek the moving goddesses of fortune without the relation of Lord. We need not be like Ravana, trying to go for uh, Sita without Ram. The Lord was pacified after killing those kings who were burdensome to their. They were puffed up with their military strength, their horses, elephants, chariots, infantry, etc. He himself was not a part in the fight. He simply created hostility between the powerful administrators and they fought among themselves. He was like the wind which caused frictions between bamboos and so sparks of fire. Now, this is very important. Lord gives punishment to the mentality so that they were puffed up. When people ask this question, I did something in last life, I don't even remember also. Why are you giving punishment now? You should punish for something which I remember. Now I don't remember only. Why you are giving you punishment for it? And what is the use of that punishment? If I know, okay, I did I did something in last life, say I stole something, and this life because of stealing, my hand has some problem or leg has some problems. That is because of my sin in the last life. That is very simple, right? To understand. Okay, this I did and I'll not. Now somebody say he killed somebody and this life he is also having some problems. Now why we are not remembering? Now that is very important understanding that Lord is not punishing for the activities we did. Lord is punishing to the tendency that we have. Lord want to rectify the tendency, not the activity. That is the reason we are giving punishment. So when we get punishment, our punishment is because we are puffed up. You give up your puffed up mentality. So when problem comes, now people become little humble. But unfortunately, they don't change only. Again, things change. And this we have experienced. People, when they have some problems in their life, very serious problems, they really surrender. But only for that time. After that, it becomes normal. Again, they forget the Lord. And the slogan says that the Lord, He simply created hostility between the powerful administrators and they fought among themselves. He was like the wind that caused friction between bamboos, so sparks a fire. And he said, as stated above, the living beings are not factual enjoyers of things which are mentioned, manifestation of as God's creation. The Lord is the genuine protector and enjoyer of everything manifested in His creation. Unfortunately, influenced by the deluding energy, the living being becomes a false enjoyer under the dictation of the modes of nature. Puffed up by such a false sense of becoming God, the deluded living beings increase his material strength by so many activities and then become the burden of earth, so much so that the earth becomes completely uninhabited by the same. The state of affairs is called Dharmashtra Glan or misuse of energy of human being. When such misuse of human energy is prominent, the saner living beings becomes perturbed by awakened awkward situations created by the vicious administrators who are simply burden of the earth. And the Lord appears by his internal potency just to save the saner section of humanity and to alleviate the burden due to the earthly administrators in different parts of the world. He does not favor either of unwanted administrator, but by his potential power, he creates hostility between such unwanted administrators as the air creates fire in the bamboo by the friction of the bamboo. The fire is the fire in the forest takes place automatically by the force of air. And similarly, the hostility between different groups of politicians takes place by unseen design of Lord. So this is very important. Now the war it is happening between Russia and Ukraine. This is actually the point we need to understand. We need to see Shastra Chakra. The hostility between different groups of politicians takes place by unseen design of the Lord. The unwanted administrations, puffed up by power and military strength, thus becomes engaged in fighting among themselves over ideological conflict and so exhaust themselves of all power. The history of the world reflects this factual will of the Lord, and it will continue to enact until the living beings are attached to the service of the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita, this fact is very vividly described. The deluding energy is my potency, and thus it is not possible for the dependent living beings to supersede the strength of material force. But those who take shelter of me, the personality of God Sri Krishna, can cross over the gigantic ocean of material energy. This means that no one can establish peace and prosperity in the world by fruitive activities or by speculative philosophy or ideology. The only way is to surrender unto the Supreme Lord and thus become free from the illusion of the deluding energy. Unfortunately, persons who are engaged in destructive work are unable to surrender to the personality of Godhead. They are all foolish of the first order. They are the lowest of human species of life. They are robbed by their knowledge. Although apparently they seem to be academically educated, they are all demonic mentality, always challenge the supreme power of Lord. Those who are very materialistic always hanker after material power and strength, and undoubtedly fools of the first order because they are forced of first order because they have no information of living energy, and being ignorant of the supreme spiritual energy, they are absorbed in material science, which ends with the end of material body. They are the lowest of human being because the human life is especially meant for re-establishing the lost relation with the Lord, and they miss this opportunity by being engaged in material activity. They are robbed of their knowledge because even after prolonged speculation, they cannot reach to the stage of knowledge, the personality of God, and the summum bonum of everything. And all of them are men of demonic principles, and they suffer the consequences as did such materialistic heroes as Ravana, Hiranyakashipu, and etc. Basically, here Prabhupada is trying to explain how this puffed up mentality is in the politicians, the present leaders of the society, and because of that, there are unseen forces which make them fight among themselves and then destroy. This is how it is. Now, this is a system that is arranged by the Lord to destroy. He will not come from himself. And this, thus, the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, out of his causeless mercy, appeared on this planet by his internal potency, enjoyed himself among competent women as if he were engaged in mundane affairs. So, this is another important shloka. Bhagavan Prakrito Yata Reme Sri Ratna Kutasto Bhagavan Prakrito Yata, as if it were mundane activity. Now, Prabhupada is because Prabhupada want to clarify every word. This is the first book Prabhupada is writing. So, for him, it is very important that he clarify what is Krishna. He has to tell everything. That is the reason we'll see in the first canto there are big purports. The Lord married and lived like a householder. This is certainly like a mundane affair, but when we learn that he married 16,108 wives and lived with them, therefore, the Lord living as householder among his competent wives is never mundane. So, and his behavior with them is never to be understood as mundane sex relation. The women who become the wife of Lord are certainly not ordinary women, because to get the Lord as one's husband is the result of many, many millions of births, tapasya, austerity. When the Lord appears on different lokas or planets, or on this planet of human beings, he displays his transcendental past just to attract the conditioned souls to become his eternal servitors, friends, parents, and lovers, respectively, in the transcendental world. When the Lord eternally reciprocates such exchanges of service, service is pervertedly represented in the middle world and broken untimely, resulting in sad experiences. This happens to everyone. Everybody's heart breaks. Shisha ho dil ho, आखिर टूट जाता है. This is actually even for devotees who stay in ashram also it happens. It will not happen with women, but it will happen with management or some other devotee or some situation, some program, something will happen. Lord make sure that it breaks. Why it breaks? Because there is a tendency to take shelter of material things all the time. That's why it breaks. And we all have tendency to, because we always shelter seeking. Because we didn't have Krishna, so we are taking shelter of all the things in this material. Some shelter we are always taking. And now I am taking shelter of this chair. But what happens? Everything breaks in this world. So the illusioned living beings, conditioned by material nature, cannot understand out of ignorance that all our relations here in the mundane world are temporary and full of verities. Such relations cannot help us to be happy perpetually. But if the same relation is established with the Lord, then we are transferred to the transcendental world after leaving this metal world and become eternally related with him in relation we desire. The women among whom he lived as their husband are not therefore women of this mundane world, but are eternally related with him as transcendental wife, a position which they attained by perfection of devotional service. That is their competency. The Lord is Param Brahma, the Supreme Personality of God. Conditioned soul seeks after perpetual happiness in all places, not only on this earth, but also on other planets throughout the universe. What we see that girls are being humiliated and killed, and also their past karma. I have seen one case in news yesterday. It's very terrible and scary. How can karma, how someone's karma such a terrible? Now, the people who did this activity, what should happen to them? Like, that is a question. Like, say somebody he is a jihadi or somebody, and he killed 10, 20 women. What should happen to him next? No, because he gave the pain to somebody, then the pain will come to him the same amount of pain. Actually, not same, it comes multiple ways, in more number of ways, and it comes to the person. We accept it, it's not correct, but we should also see from the Shastric point of view. We should not get disturbed when we see from the Shastra. In material, nothing good happens. It is everybody is troubling other person, and everybody has their complicated karma, and then they destroy each other in that way. This actually happens for everyone. And mother-in-law burning daughter-in-law, daughter-in-law tortures mother-in-law, not giving food and beating. Both things happen. And then what happens? It exchanges. You become mother-in-law, daughter-in-law, and you get payback. This is the natural thing that happens in this story. Being girl, it scares. No, we have to be in protection. Then it will not be a problem. If we are alone and trying to do one thing on our alone, we are not under any protection, then we have problem. And when we are little shrewd and intelligent, then we can be safe. What happens is women immediately goes for shelter, and because the tendency is there, so they take wrong shelters also. If they, because women are weak with the ears. If somebody speaks sweetly, somebody looks like he caring, immediately they put off their intelligence. They will have problem. They get trapped, and it happens. We cannot actually every day it happens. But now what is happening now, because of social media news, it is so much highlighted. Previous ages, women, there are no much communication, there are no much transportation. If you want to go to next village, either you have to walk, you need a bullock cart, then only you go to next village, other within your village. And if marriage has to happen, you will have within very nearby village only marriage happens, and life is very peaceful. Go to the field or go to some other things, and then nearby kingdom, and everything is settled. Not much travel and all, and not much this type of activities. Now people have to travel, they have to study, women has to study, they have to go abroad also, and they have to have career also, and then they have to work with the employees also, and you're in the office, and then all these things because they want equal rights, and then these problems come. And men are also not responsible nowadays. That's why women had to work. Otherwise, they don't need to work. But because men are not responsible, that's why women had to work. And things are very complicated. But if a person is little shrewd and intelligent, he can protect himself in all situations. The women amongst whom he lived as their husband are not therefore women of this mundane world, but are eternally related with him as transcendental wives, a position which may attain by perfection of devotional service. That is their competency. Now here, when these devotees they appear, this is also another thing. We should not always think that okay, came from spiritual world. That is one part, but we have to also to see that, oh, they have, like, no, if you say Gopis, they are from spiritual world only. No, then you will not be able to appreciate much. We see that Gopis, they they lived in a village, and social customs and such a very strict rules were there, and they broke everything and came to Krishna. How much they have to go? They have to burn the bridge. That's what Radhanama. They burned the bridge, but means you cannot go back. That means they sacrifice so much. When we see this aspect, then only we will be able to appreciate Gopis. Otherwise, a spiritual world, then we'll not appreciate the pain or the sacrifice they go like that. And yeah, this world, oh, problems are there, but we have to be little more careful and safe. There is no Kali Yuga is there. That's why we cannot do much here. The Lord is Param Brahma, the Supreme Personality of God. Conditions also. Why? Because people are listening so much news and other things. That's why they are scared. Otherwise, no need to be scared. Krishna is there to protect, and Krishna protects. He's protecting all living entities and all the types. It is not much scary. We have to be little careful, but it's not so dangerous, because we are hearing so much of news, and all the news, only if you give negative news, people hear more. You tell this bridge is made, this school is built, and this hospital is opened, how many people will listen such news? But if you give murder happened, 5 people killed, 10 people this one, 20 people, big scam, big this, big that, people will be interested in that news more. That's why such type of news is highlighted, and that scares people. And people are paying and getting scared. That is another problem. The Lord is Param Brahma, so don't hear the news. That's switch off it. No, we should be little alert. We should be little shrewd, intelligent, alert. No need of news. You just understand how people work, and if you have very nice close company and you have nice protective environment, nothing will happen, because societies are protected. You have college and society and your shopping mall, and there are few areas you have to go. No need to travel much. You be at home, or you are at your workplace, or you are at your shop place. And where is another place to go? You are traveling alone, you're not going here there, you want to go for some trekking here there, then there will be some problem and mischief. Otherwise, it's all safe only, if people are little careful. If they want to do some extraordinary, then they have to take the risk. So this is a problem. Conditioned soul seeks after perpetual happiness in non places, not only on this earth, but also on other planets throughout the universe. Because constitutionally, the spiritual spark, as he is, can travel to any part of God's creation. But being conditioned by material nature, he tries to travel in space, but spacecraft and so fails to reach his destination. This is the law of gravitation. The law of gravitation is binding upon him like the shackles of a prisoner. But other processes, he can reach anywhere. By other process, he can reach anywhere. But even if he reaches the highest planet, he cannot attain the perpetual happiness for which he is searching life after life. When he comes to his senses, however, he seeks after Brahman happiness, knowing it for certain that the unlimited happiness which he is seeking is never attainable in the material world. As such a supreme being, Parabrahma, certainly does not seek his happiness anywhere in the material world, nor can his paraphernalia of happiness being found in the material world. He is not imprisoned, because he is the leader and supreme being amongst innumerable living beings. He cannot be imprisoned. He is exactly like us, and he has all the propensities of an individual living being in fullness. He married exactly like us, but his marriage is neither mundane nor limited by our experience in the conditioned state. His wife, therefore, appeared like mundane women, but factually they are all transcendental liberated souls, perfect manifestation of his internal energy. So we have 3 more shlokas. So I will just read the uh, translation, so you can please do the homework of reading 4 shlokas only, not so much I am giving. This 4, which the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, out of his causeless mercy, appeared on this planet by his internal potency and enjoyed. So this we read. Okay. So next 4 only. Yeah. Although the queen's beautiful smiles, yeah, this is also very important. Glance were all spotless and exciting, and although they could conquer Cupid himself by making him give up his bow in frustration, although even the tolerant Shiva could fall victim to them, still, despite all their magical feats and attractions, they could not agitate the senses of Lord. This is a very famous shloka. Uddhama bhava pashuma valga pashuma पुष्णामलबल्गुहासा पिशुनामवल्गुहासा पीडावलोकनिहतो मदनोऽपि यासं सम्मुह्य चापमजः प्रमदोत्तमांस्ता ये यस्येन्द्रियां विमहितुं उक्कैर्न सेतु. So Uddama Bhava Pishunama Valguhasa Gridavaloka Nihato Madanopiyasa. So their smile, their glance, their expressions, even Madanopiyasa, even the Cupid will give up his bow and run away. But Sammuhya Chapa Ajaha Pramadottamamstham. So they tried actually attracting Lord, but Esendriyami Vimahitutum Puhukair Naseku. But Lord senses cannot be agitated. This is a very, this purport we'll read once. The path of salvation or the path going back to Godhead always forbids the association of women, and the complete Sanatan Dharma or Varnashram Dharma schemes forbids or restricts association with women. How then can one be accepted as the Supreme Personality of Godhead who is addicted to more than 16,000 wives? This question may be relevantly raised by inquisitive persons really anxious to know about the transcendental nature of Supreme Lord. And to answer such questions, the sages of Naimisharanya have discussed the transcendental character of Lord in this and in the following verses. So now the sages may get, Array, why is the Supreme Lord is always a woman, and that too 16,108. And that is the reason Suta Goswami is telling this shloka. Wait a minute. Lord is not like what you are thinking. It is clear here that the feminine attractive features which can conquer Cupid or even the supermost tolerant Lord Shiva could not conquer the sense of Lord. The sense of Lord. Cupid's business is to invoke mundane lust. The whole universe is moving, being agitated by Cupid's arrow. The activities of the world are being carried on by the central attraction of male and female. A man is searching after the mate and to his liking, and the female is looking after a suitable mate. That is the way of material stimulus. And as soon as a male is combined with a female, the material bondage of living being is at once tightly interlocked by sex relation, and as a result of this, both the males and females attraction for sweet home, motherland, bodily offspring, society and friendship, and accumulation of wealth becomes the illusory field of activity, and thus a false but indefectible attraction for the temporary material existence, which is full of miseries, is manifest. Prabhupada is ready in very, very powerful word. Everybody should meditate. I am not going to discuss on this much. We don't have time. Therefore, those who are on the path of salvation for going back home, back to Godhead, are especially advised by all scriptural instructions to become free from such paraphernalia of material attraction, and that is the possible only by association of devotees of the Lord who are called the Mahatmas. Cupid throws his arrows upon living beings to make them mad after the opposite sex. Whether the party is actually beautiful or not, Cupid's provocations are going on even among beastly societies who are all ugly looking in the estimation of civilized nations. Thus, Cupid's influence is exalted even among the ugliest forms, and what to speak of the most perfect beauties. Lord Shiva, who is considered to be the most tolerant, was also struck by Cupid's arrow because he also became mad after Mohini incarnation of Lord and acknowledged him to be defeated. Cupid, however, was himself captivated by the grave and exciting dealings of goddess of fortune, and he voluntarily gave up his bow and arrow in the spirit of frustration. Such was the beauty and attraction of the queens of Lord Krishna. Yet they could not disturb the transcendental sense of the Lord. This is because the Lord is all perfect, Atma Rama, self-sufficient. He does not require anyone's extraneous help for his personal satisfaction. Therefore, the queens could not satisfy the Lord by their feminine attractiveness, but they satisfied him by their sincere affection and service. Only by unalloyed transcendental loving service could they satisfy the Lord, and the Lord was pleased to treat them as wives in reciprocation. Thus, being satisfied by their unalloyed service only, the Lord reciprocated the service just like a devout husband. Otherwise, he had no business becoming the husband of so many wives. This is the husband, he is the husband of everyone, but to one who accepts him as such, he reciprocates. This unalloyed affection for Lord is never to be compared to mundane lust. It is purely transcendental, and the grave great dealings which the queens displayed in natural feminine ways were all transcendental because the were expressed out of transcendental ecstasy. It is already explained in the previous verses that the Lord appeared like a mundane husband, but factually his relation with his wives was transcendental, pure, and unconditional by the modes of mental nature. This is a very golden purport. I want you to read and meditate. We'll not discuss on it, but I sincerely request if devotees can read and meditate, it will be very, very helpful. The common materialistic conditioned souls speculate that the Lord is one of them. Out of their ignorance, they think that the Lord is affected by matter, although he is unattached. So, we'll just read the next two translations. This is the divinity of personality of God. He is not affected by the qualities of nature, even though he is in contact with them. Similarly, the devotees who have taken shelter of Lord do not become influenced by material qualities. And last sloka. The simple and delicate woman truly thought that Lord Sri Krishna, their beloved husband, followed them and was dominated by them. They were unaware of the extent of glories of their husband, as the atheists are unaware of him as a supreme control. Thank you all very much. So we'll end here. Please read the remaining three purports, and we'll meet. Maybe we'll see if possible in between. If I get good signal, I'll take classes. So tomorrow is Nirjala Ekadasi. So tomorrow, yeah, day after tomorrow. So then tomorrow we are having. So okay, Hare Krishna.